Welcome back to another music video roundup. This is the 9th edition now, which sounds crazy to me. I want to talk about a very powerful release from Jeshi for his single Disconnect, followed up with Tendai's release for Wishin. This guy just has to blow up soon. And finishing this week off with a nostalgic nod to one of the most iconic films of the 90s by Japanese duo Dongurizu. Let's get into it. Directed by Blackwall and shot by Joe Dunn, Jeshi's newest video for Disconnect is pure energy and fully loaded with features from Fredwave, Louis Culture and Jay Caesar. Jeshi was put on my radar roughly 2 years ago with an insane video for 3210, an absolute crazy complex concept for a music video where they printed hundreds and hundreds of stills from a moving image sequence and then in order laid them on the floor, pinned them onto things. The camera was then zooming past these still images, and when it hit the right speed, it was basically putting these still images through motion back into a motion sequence. Insane. Back to the video for Disconnect. I think most of the shots have been shot on film. DP Joe Dunn is an owner of a 16mm camera. The whole video is basically a pan from right to left, intercutting a ton of different locations. This creates a feeling of being trapped within a literal vicious cycle, heightened by often match cutting from one location to another, jumping around in time and space. I think it's a great, simple but effective translation of the song's title, Disconnect, and its topics centering around selfishness or the feeling of sometimes having to carry the world's weight on your shoulders. The only time we get a break from this right to left pan movement is at the car wreck side when the camera comes to a stop, only then to break back into old habits again. Anyone who has ever dropped anything in a club or at a concert and had to crawl around on the floor will love this shot. There's also some sick BTS on Blackwall's Instagram where they seem to have rigged a Ronin RS3 or RS4 to a pole to be submerged in this group of people dancing in the club with a smaller digital camera package, maybe a Sony FX3. We then get into the sick VFX look where they use some motion capture on Jeshi. The studio behind the capture is called Target 3D, and I think they've done a great job of finding the balance of obviously clearly marking this as a 3D model, but still having so much detail that it feels really organic. Jeshi is now being trapped in this black void surrounding him, still moving from right to left. Here I think he actually punched the shit out of this iMac, and what a banging shot to end this music video on. Starting out with the same panning movement, then zooming out, pulling up and pulling further back, transitioning to this drone shot with Jeshi walking around aimlessly at this very flat 2D space. Such a slapping song and video. Tendai is definitely one to watch for this year and the next years. That's not to say that he hasn't already published a huge array of amazing videos over the last couple of years. His latest one for Wishin is playing with a fun drone transition. Drone operator Bradley Clark pulled out some great little tricks here. He seems to work for the same company, STEM Studios, that are behind some of the drone work that I really enjoyed from other videos. It's a shame that the car with Tendai in didn't arrive at the same shot when the drone comes down over the roof on the other side again. I think that would have been a banger. These drone orbits work so well while these people are obviously clearly having a great time with each other. This shot is probably my favorite. We see several repeated shots here with the movement of the drone being as identical as possible that then are being stitched together in post. I wonder if the whole video was shot on a drone. I sadly couldn't find any BTS to confirm this. There's for sure a much smaller racing FPV drone with a wider lens in use. Congrats to Tendai for his debut album release, which I think was accompanied by this music video. Make sure to check out his others, they're so much fun to watch. And yeah, watch the space because I think there's so much more to come from him. Finishing up with an absolute energy blast from Japanese duo Dongurizu. There's some really interesting bits in here to talk about. I loved how they used a low loader or similar rigging platform to be able to fly around with the two artists at quite high speeds while they're miming this running action. A low loader is typically used in a scene where, for example, two actors are driving somewhere and having a conversation, and it's basically a trailer for the car so the actors don't have to drive themselves, but on camera it looks like they're driving. I love this visual overload. It's a bit creepy, but good creepy, I guess. and I love the contrast by him emerging very statically. Now let's get into the real gem of this video, which is already teased at in the thumbnail. It's a big fat nod to Wong Kar-wai's feature film Fallen Angels from 1995. Hugely influential film, especially in terms of camera work from Christopher Doyle, with the often referenced shot of the two main characters on a motorbike driving along these tunnels. Also on a low loader, as you also can rig motorbikes on them. I managed to find a little BTS clip of shooting Fallen Angels, where you can see a little bit of the low loader. Although I'm pretty sure they used a low loader or similar rigging platform for these shots on the street, I'm not sure if they actually used the same low loader setup while actually driving through these tunnels. To me, it looks a little bit more like an LED cave or like projection background to me. This is a call to all the DPs and directors out there. When you shoot these sick videos, shoot more BTS. It honestly looks like a bunch of fun shooting days. And I'm saying this with full awareness of lots of experience on set, where what often looks like a great vibe or atmosphere in the video is an absolute bore or full cringe on set, but they definitely give off the energy and comfortableness around each other of a real friendship group, and that makes such a difference when creating these videos together. Another banging song and video. That's it for this week's music video roundup. As always, check out the music videos and the crews behind them, and stay tuned for the next one.